that just touched me because I don't know if I got to the part where I have fully, if I'm in my. This is true. This is true. This is true. Ooh, because you just this is when you know you are really when you are with the Lord, and He got to check you on something really quick because He just checked me really quick that you not over that. You ain't real. You didn't release it as much as you think you have. Only parts of it, or none of it at all. So, welcome to Simply Be Simply Me podcast, which you possibly heard a whole bunch of stuff before the introduction because we just rolling. Um, but what we I hate to just jump into it, but I'm your host, Nakeisha Smith, and I'm going to jump right into it. So, this topic today was actually sparked by a podcast that I watched. I like Megan Ashley. I like her podcast. I like what she does, her stories and everything. She's just one of the many podcast people that I like. But she did an interview with Trinity Mitchell. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Please forgive me. And that interview was about friendship, forgiveness, faith, and all of those things. And I literally felt God just checking me really quick because that interview spoke to me on so many levels because I find that the topic that I'm going to discuss today is the title technically competition versus community. And the reason why I wanted to touch on that today is because of their episode. It was so real for me for so many reasons, but the title just hit me just now, and I just had a surreal aha moment where God just revealed to me that there's something that I haven't technically forgiven. Yeah, my heart definitely hasn't fully forgiven individuals or individual that I feel that I thought was my friend and discovered it's not my friend. And or so I feel that maybe they may not necessarily be my friend. And that's why that Megan Ashley and Trinity Mitchell podcast like spoke to me on so many levels. I find often that we as women, we don't support each other the way we should. And it's something that I don't understand. It's something that I don't subscribe to. It's something that I don't have in my core to say, hey, I want to be against another person in life in general, but let alone my fellow females in any business. I think there is more than enough room and business in this world for all of us to win and be successful. I really want to support other women. So when I'm reaching out to women or you see me sharing people's stories often, they don't ask me to share those stories. It's just I see that they're doing something great. I see that they have a new business. I see that they have a new podcast. I see they have a home that they're trying to get sold. I will reshare if I'm on social media and something pops up on my timeline. I share it, I post it, I tell people about it, and none of them say to me, hey, could you do this for me? I do it on my own. And it's after they see it on their social media channels as a repost or learn that I shared their business from someone else, they'll send me a message to say thank you, whatever the case may be. I'm not doing it to say to receive thanks. I'm not doing it to receive praises or any of those things. I'm doing it to genuinely support other people and other women. Unfortunately for me, my experience, there are people who don't support me. They look at me like I'm competition, and they sometimes give off a sense of jealousy towards me, which is so strange. Sometimes they give off a sense of negativity towards me for whatever reason. I still don't know. And sometimes I feel that I'm questioned. And recently, there were things that was said to me, whether it was in person, whether it was in a message, and all of it to me felt like an attack against me. And I was confused. Like, I am not in competition with any other female but myself. I don't, to feel jealous of someone is a sense of, to me, is a trait that I choose not to carry. And if I find myself feeling like I may be jealous of someone, and I don't even know that I would ever use the word jealous, because for me, I look at people and I'm like, oh, wow, you inspire me to do better. You inspire me to want to change certain things. You inspire me to want to grow, or you inspire me to look at a situation from a different lens, but not from a space of I'm jealous of you. I just can't subscribe to that. And again, that podcast that Megan Ashley had, it just spoke to me on so many levels, especially the piece of where they spoke about when you have friendships and then those friendships dissolve. And then you learn about different feelings that the friend had about you, but in actuality, the friend really never liked you from the beginning. And that was like a punch in my stomach for me when I listen to it, because I feel like I've experienced that. And sometimes I find that it's not that maybe the person can't be your friend or they didn't like you. Sometimes they just could be going through their own personal things in their lives and they don't know how to show up in that moment or as a friend, or they don't know what a real friend looks like on the opposite side because they're going through whatever they're going through, or because in the past they have been burnt multiple times by other females, that when they see someone who is really rooting for them right in front of them, when they see someone who really is supporting them that's a female, they are guarded, or they feel like, hey, I need to attack you before you get a chance to attack me because of their past experience. I need to speak negatively about you because of their past experience. So I'm here to say to everyone, especially any female who has ever had any type of interaction with me, I genuinely want all of us to win. I genuinely want all of us to succeed. I genuinely will help any individual that I can with getting them from point A to point B to C, D, to getting them to the finish line to help them be a better version of themselves. And if I don't have the answer to help them get to their greatness, I'm going to try to find someone or lead them to someone to get them to their greatness. But I genuinely, from my heart of hearts, want all of us to win. Like, we're better together, especially as females. And I don't think that a lot of females really understand that we are better together when we support one another, when we hold each other's hand, when we lift each other up, because there's moments in all of our lives as females where we fall short. There's moments where we all sometimes it's beyond falling short. We need to be lifted. We need to be supported. And who better outside of course, your family and God, but who better to support you than other women who could relate or who understand or who just support you? I think joining together is more empowering to women, and it would allow us to be better individuals. It would allow our businesses to succeed. Now, I know I'm quick to say that the Megan Ashley podcast led me to this competition versus community conversation, but I also need to just be real and check myself because, again, I stated earlier that as I was starting to have this conversation and realizing the topic was faith, friendship, faith, and forgiveness. I have friendships, of course, I have faith, but do I really have forgiveness in those moments that I just finished discussing? And if I'm being honest, the aha moment that God revealed, that I felt in my heart, that no, I did not have forgiveness fully. And I realized that I need to fully forgive the feelings that I've been holding on to from whether it's individuals that I feel that weren't the best experiences, or disagreements, or things that I felt hurt by, that I realized today I need to forgive. So I forgive those individuals. And as I say that now, I do feel the difference in my heart, that I forgive, and I need to forgive not just for myself, but also for the individuals as well. Because again, as I stated earlier, I realize that sometimes it is the hidden jealousy, the hidden you don't like me in reality, but you're pretending. But sometimes it really is someone going through something and they don't realize how they are showing up as a friend because of what they have going on in their personal lives. They don't realize that their lack of, I don't want to say confidence, but whatever it is that they feel that they're lacking on their end, when it shows up sometimes in their friend in a positive way, it can come out in a negative way from that the friend on the other end to the friend who's showing confidence. But they don't even realize that sometimes it's not confidence, it genuinely is, I'm not as confident as everyone thinks I am in certain aspects. There are certain aspects in my life where I am very confident and no one can, you know, make me feel less than, but there's other areas where I'm not confident. I'm just stepping out on faith and I'm just trusting that God is going to lead me along the way. It's not confidence. I promise you, it's stepping out on faith, doing it fearful, and trusting God. And I find that when I have female friends, or just females sometimes on the other end, thinking that I'm just so confident, I'm really not. And I don't have to be best friends with everyone. I don't have to have 50,000 friends, let alone 10 friends. But I do know that I believe in showing up for other women. I believe in supporting other women. I believe in navigating a space where other women can shine, opening up doors for other people to shine. So when I say, hey, I'm stepping in the room so I can create hopefully opportunities for others, I genuinely mean that. When I say I'm putting my hand out to pull you in the room with me, not because I want you to be beside me. I want you to go in front of me and be better than me, and then do the same in return. Grab someone else's hand and pull them in the room so they can just be better than you. I don't want you to, as a female, to be behind me or stand beside me and not grow. Because sometimes you do have females that they want you beside them, but they don't want you to ever move past them and be better than them. And that's not what I'm about. Um, so this episode actually made me realize a couple of things about myself. And this episode also, I just really hope my heart translates through this podcast episode of the genuineness and the importance to me of us working together as females and uplifting each other and supporting each other and pouring into each other and guiding each other without feeling like we are always in competition with each other, because we don't have to be. Competition is for races. If we're in like a relay race, I'm not in a race with anyone. We all have different journeys, we all have different paths, and we all go at a different speed. But just because one may be going at a faster speed than the other, it doesn't mean that you don't support your fellow females, friends, your fellow female businesswomen. You just, I don't know, maybe I'm asking for too much, but I genuinely want us to work together at being more of a community as females and growing together. And I believe that if we all, just one person, just grab one person's hand or share one person's business, like, comment, help, guide them. If you have a formula that's working for you in your business and you see another female trying the same business, but they don't know what to do, give them that formula, give them that information to help them grow. Because regardless of what formula you use that you share to your other counterparts, the blessings that God has on your life and this individual lives and this other female's life, it's not going to stop, because God's blessings is God's blessings. So why not share what you know that may be working for you, because it doesn't stop your blessings. It doesn't stop your greatness. So why not work together and just become unstoppable in your own right, but also supporting other women as well. I know this is not the traditional way I do my episodes, but it is what it is. So I hope you like the episode before. I hope you like this episode. So if you do, like, subscribe, comment on all social media channels, Spotify, YouTube, and please join me again for my next episode. We're going to jump into a quick Q&A, and we'll be back. All right, so this is the fun time of Q&A. I don't know if it's always going to be fun, because, again, I never know what the questions are. So now is the time for me to check out what you guys have sent. So here goes. Aw, this is actually so sweet, but now I want to know who sent this message. It says, no question, just stop by to tell you I love you. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Now I want to find out who sent this message, but how am I going to do that? I'm going to speak to the person behind the scenes and see if they will share who sent this message, but I love you too. I love all of you, actually, who have supported me in this space, in this newness, in this area of me. Again, just hoping to inspire, to uplift, hoping that whatever my message is for the day, that some way, somehow, through my message, even if it's through one word, a sentence, or a smile, that you see God, that you see yourself, that you believe in yourself more, that you trust and know that God got you just as much as he has me. And anything that I'm doing or anything that you see in me, that it's in you as well. And we all have the ability to walk and step into our greatness. So again, thank you for that message. I love you too. I feel a little emotions coming on. And I find that this podcast lately has been making me be a little bit more emotional than I usually am. That I feel a couple of emotions coming on, because I know that for me, walking into this space of doing this podcast, sharing some of my stories, sharing some of my experiences, sharing more of me, sharing the vulnerable side of me, sharing my happiness, my joy, and then some moments where I didn't get there yet, but some moments where life has punched me in my stomach and how I have to navigate through those tough moments in life. So all of this, again, is new, but I thank you and I love you as well. I am in a space where I feel like I'm still trying to find my own community of women who just accept me for who I am, who are not shady. I hate to use that word, but it's the truth. Who are not, I'm in a space where, oh, real estate, I find, or I'm in a space where, oh, I'm struggling to say it and I just need to spit it out. I'm in a space where I find that people are using me. And that's a tough space for me to be in. And when I say using me, I mean I have people who are using my name to say, "Oh, I know Nakeisha," and they really don't know me. But they say my name because they think it will help them in some way, shape, or form. I have people who are genuinely pretending like, "Hey, I really am supporting you. I really, want to be around you," and they absolutely are not supporting me. They are using me. And it's very clear. I'm very well aware of it, but because I don't have the energy to be mean or whatever the case may be, I just have to move forward in grace with those people as best as I can. But there is a space where I have to slowly but surely, like, cut them off. I will still be nice and I will still wish them well and root for them, but I can't keep staying in this space of non support, being used for no reason. Like there's no reason. That's the other piece. If there was a reason, I think I could understand it. If someone can say, "Hey, Nakeisha was just mean to me," or "she's always unkind to me," or "hasn't been kind to me," then I can understand why people may feel like, "Hey, I don't want to support her." If someone felt like, "Hey, I went to Nakeisha for advice and she didn't want to help me," I can see why they would say, well, I can't see why they would say it, but maybe I can understand it more why they would feel like, "Hey, let me try to befriend her because she's not going to be truthful and give me the information anyway." That's not the case for me. I will be honest, but I'm still trying to find community. Now, when I say I'm still trying to find community, I don't want it to come across that I'm dismissing the women, the individuals who I do know are supporting me, that I do know want me to win, that I do know want me to succeed. And I appreciate all of you from the bottom of my heart because I don't have much of it. So when I do receive it, it means more to me than any of you know. Um, it makes me emotional because that's how I feel towards any female that I come encounter with. So when I get it back in return, it's like so appreciative and so I'm thankful for it. But when I say community, I mean like us really getting together and supporting each other and showcasing each other and allowing each other to shine. One of the things I didn't get a chance to do it for the month of March this year, but last year, March, I did a women's lunch and it was just, I believe, 15 women that I invited to a women's lunch. They didn't have to do anything but just show up. And I invited them because I just wanted them to know that I see you, you are supported. I'm here if you need anything. And I also wanted them to be in a room, in a space for them to see what it's like for other women to support other women. I also wanted them to be in a space and a room with the other ladies that were invited so they can share stories and realize, wait, I'm not alone. Oh, we have a similar story. oh, we could connect, we could be friends, we could support each other, we could grow. I did not get a chance to do it this year because of my schedule, but I do plan on doing something probably around the late April, May area, again in hopes to inspire a larger group of community for us women to just continue to showcase, pour into each other, love one another, and uplift each other. And again, to the women who do pour into me and who support me and have my back, I see you. I appreciate you. I thank you. I am going to do something special for you. I don't know what that something is, but I do want to show you and highlight you and say thank you for the love and support that you have always shown me, whether it was from the first time you met me or you're just now learning about who I am. I thank you all, and I really, my hope and my prayer is that we all continue to grow and inspire each other and uplift as women together. In the space where I feel like I'm dealing with people not being true and authentic to me, I noticed something recently where someone was posting things on social media, and it was something that was what I felt was a indirect passive aggressive jab towards me, and I was able to identify it because I've seen it before. And what I mean by I've seen it before is that I realize that I've seen this behavior in them before when they did this to someone else. And I had an aha moment for myself, like, well, why if I noticed this before with someone else, why did I think that I was any different or I was special and it wasn't gonna happen to me? It did. It was my fault for thinking I was any different. But those are just some of the things that I experience in this space of not having real female community in a larger scale or real connections and friendships outside of like my core friends from my heart who just love me for me and not looking to see what they can gain from being around me or pretending to be my friend. These people, they know me from middle school, they know me from high school, they know me now, and they just love me, Nakeisha, for me. Anything else is just an enhancement. So that's what I mean by if just elaborating more about friendships and not working out in this new space that I'm in or looking for a larger scale of community from women. But again, to my ladies that love me, to my best friend and my core people, thank you. I love you guys so much and I appreciate you. So, as you guys know, there's always people behind the scenes of this podcast who never like to fully be on camera. So, we have that situation again based on the topic of community versus competition. And one of the things that I was mentioning is that, sometimes people create these narratives of me or whatever they may be going through, and they come up with whatever it is that they may be thinking because of their own self doubt or whatever. And two individuals this time behind the scenes had their own, not story, but their own thoughts that they wanted to share on that. So I'm going to say Secret Agent One, since they don't want to be revealed just yet. What do you have to say, or what do you want to share about the community and the competition and feeling like people create whatever stories about you when it's not true?
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, and I can't necessarily, of course, relate to the women's side of things because I stay out of women's business. But I will say, it's it's something that I've learned not only from you, but my significant other as well, as people who just genuinely try to do good and promote good and live through Christ, kind of. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily living through Christ. I always say you don't got to be a religious person to be a decent person. You just need to
I
be a
agree.
decent
Amen.
person. But at times people will take that good or the way you treat them as for granted for most parts. And
Mm-hmm.
you may have to set a boundary. You may have to stand on what you believe and say, hey, this was disrespectful. This was
Mm-hmm.
wrong. And I feel like a lot of times when you do that, you become the villain in a lot of people's
Mm.
stories. And I always say there's nothing wrong with being the villain in someone's story if you are setting your boundary or standing your ground. But as a result of that, a lot of your competition could then feel slighted by it. And all it was you setting that boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say, even for me in the beginning, as my personality is, I'm very open, I'm very outgoing. So I found myself joining every community. And what you quickly learn is not every community is
It's
a
for
good
you.
community
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
a community for you. So when you begin to set those boundaries, it's genuinely sometimes viewed as you're now the villain in someone else's story, which is something I feel like you have to learn to be okay with when you're out here just trying to live the right way, or maybe in a
I
good
think
way.
that's what I am working on now. That now I just have to learn to be okay with it. Doesn't mean it's easy, but I just have to learn to be okay with it because it is what it is. Secret agent number two is a female who
I know.
doesn't
I
want to
kind of
be.
wanted to establish first who was one and two. Right,
But
but
secret agent number two is a female, as you can tell.
yes. Or it may not because I do have a very deep speaking voice. But yes, honestly, Agent One said it all. Like just being okay with functioning in spaces where you may be the villain in somebody's story. And as long as with that, like, you're operating from a space of genuineness and grace, you you just have to be confident in the fact that everyone is going to have their story, and like you spoke on, people creating their own narratives, and if being that villain is a part of the story, like I said, as long as you're operating in the space of being true to who you are and operating through grace and genuineness, then I mean,
So I hear what both of you are saying, but if you are operating or I'm operating in a space from a good place, positivity, love, and greatness, why do I want to be a villain in someone's story? That doesn't make the two don't go hand in hand. Goodness and villain doesn't go hand in hand to me.
you said goodness and villain don't go hand in hand
Yeah.
with you. Well, it's not the narrative that you have for yourself, it's the narrative that the other person has created for you. So you are okay with knowing that how you operate and how it's not from a place of malice or ill intention, but this person maybe has to do some introspective thinking or see it from a different perspective, because the narrative is they have their side of the story, your side of the story, and then there's ultimately the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just the narrative that they created of you. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. And sometimes it's the narrative that they create to make themselves be able to sleep better at night or to make themselves feel better. So I know in this situation where I may not have acted in the best of ways, but let me paint this person as the villain when I tell the story to other people so I can feel okay about not reaching out, not offering the apology, not handling this person better than I should have. So they create that narrative to where, I don't want to say like the victim story, but a little victimization, and create other people to be their villain. So
Okay, I'm hearing you. I feel like you preaching a little bit over there, agent too.
I agree though. I think it all comes down to you understanding and knowing who you are and what your intentions are within yourself. Because I have no problem. When I tell you I know I'm a good person, but I have no problem being the villain in your story when I know that I've tried 110% to do nothing but right by you. I have no problem being the villain in your eyes or in someone's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know myself and I know where I'm coming from. So if that's how you paint me, that's fine. But if you were to go to speak to the other thousands of people I've interacted with, that was probably going to be a different story. It's
Would it change for you guys if it was? It's one thing to have that about, okay, they can have whatever villain story about you, and it's just maybe your counterparts or someone you're in the business with. But what if it's a friendship or a friend? You still feel that way?
It depends. It depends. Because in every situation, it's a matter of finding or viewing things from every perspective to me. Yeah, I view it from my perspective, and I'm a very good person when it comes to, okay, let me look at this from the other lens and determine, okay, do I need to adjust some things, or was I in the wrong?
I agree with
And
that.
and especially friends, definitely friends, family, people who you tend to have a stronger bond with. I feel like that communication always has to be there, but you
Absolutely.
have to be willing to look at it from different
Both
angles.
lenses. Okay, different angles. I agree with that.
Yeah, because
Because
I
there are times where I have had to look at things from a different angle or a different lens about myself to see that if maybe I said something or did something, or maybe they were looking for some more from me that I didn't necessarily go about it in the right way. I had to take a look at myself and apologize and acknowledge my wrongdoing in that situation.
heavy on the acknowledging the wrongdoing because I feel that some people do acknowledge it with self, but don't necessarily go to the other person or parties involved and like, you know what, I messed up, or you know what, I was just not being kind to you this day, or I was not, or you could be dealing with something that honestly has nothing to do with the other person, but in the midst of that, you kind of take things out on them in a sense, and going back and just being able to, hey, I was not in my right space that day. I had a lot going on. It had nothing to do with you. And I apologize. I'm sorry for that. Like being able to acknowledge where you kind of tripped up, messed up, and saying that to the other person. But like how you were saying, like with the friend, I would hope that the communication is there before a villain story or painting me as a villain even gets to that person. And like agent number one was saying, lost my train of thought. But as he was, we did establish he was a he.
Here's the funny thing.
We're in the back, so we're
Behind
trying
the
not to
scenes when
disclose
they're trying
names.
not to expose who they are. Why, I don't know, and it's hilarious. So yes, we already established that agent number one is a male, I think, and secret agent number two is a female that may have a deep voice here. We already established that.
But see though, that's true. But also to the people out there who have a villain in their mind that they're thinking of, you also have to see it from the other perspective. Is me labeling this person as a villain warranted? Because someone who has had growth, someone who understands, someone who truthfully is trying to come from a space of grace will be able to have that, I don't know if it's objective or subjective, but that lens, that outlook of, okay, let me see this from both perspectives. Because I feel like if you were a victim of something, you truthfully, not all things, but some things we have to go, okay, did I warrant this? Now, there are some things that happen in life that I understand we don't warrant them. We don't know why they happen. And we don't deserve it by any means necessary. But if you have that villain in your head, I feel like you have to look at it from both perspectives as well, just as the villain has to look at it.
And I can speak to a time where I wanted to paint someone the villain in a situation, and I had to step outside of that and look, as stated, from their perspective. And I had to say to myself, like, you know what, like their decision was their decision and had ultimately nothing to do with me and who I am as a person, or any of our, you know, like our relationship or friendship at that time. And so once we, you know, decided to end the friendship and how things ended, I immediately wanted to paint that person like as the villain, and how could they do this because of the friendship and the longevity of that. But once I stepped outside, I said, you know what, like that decision ultimately had nothing to do with me. Boundaries were implemented on both sides, and I am okay with healing from that in a space of they're not they're not the villain in my story. There's no villain in the story at all, but I didn't want to create that person as a villain, although I wanted to appease myself, to make myself feel okay about how things were ending with this.
That's the easiest thing to do, though.
Yeah.
That's the easy way out to me. If you are able to paint a villain and it's not warranted, that's just the easiest thing to do. It's more of a coping,
Yes, coping. Yeah.
whole like, hey, if I can just pin this on you, it doesn't have to be pinned on me. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be pinned on yourself either if you just go through the thought process of it all.
Okay. I like this secret agent thing going on back here. Thank you both so much. I appreciate your thoughts, and you actually have helped me look at things even more through a different lens and a different perspective and more aha moments for myself. So I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Thank you. And this podcast stuff is harder than you guys think.
Yes. Try counting. Try counting to 10. Try counting to 10.
Hello. Agent number 2 is very accurate, and I am going to do possibly a behind the scenes of what it takes to really do a podcast because it is harder than you think, like Agent number 2 just said.
I'll probably hear this back and tell her to cut me out completely.
No, not happening. So, hopefully you guys continue to watch the episodes, and I hope you enjoyed this episode as well. And it shows, again, it started out with my experience, but it still shows love in it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on all social media platforms, YouTube, Spotify, and if there's anything that you want me to share or support for you as another fellow female, email me at sbsm.simplybesimplyme.com, and I will try my best to share it, showcase it on whatever platform I can, and also send in your questions, or if you need some advice, again, it's simply sbsm at simplybesimplyme.com, or if it's something you want to send via social media, go to the Simply Be Simply Me podcast Instagram page and you can DM me there. But I want to support and showcase all of you as well. So thank you again, and I will see you next week.